I want to focus on what I think is one of the biggest cons that we've been sold, or one of the biggest lies that we've been sold, or one of the biggest obstacles that is put in our way as people who are trying to get away from something that is inherently bad for us, right? And that's drinking alcohol. I think it's a myth, it's a trap, and it's the trap of the alcoholic, or the idea of the alcoholic. Now, when I was still plugged into my old alcohol life, an alcoholic for me was somebody who needed a shot of vodka just to get out of bed in the morning, right? Someone whose life was really quickly going down the drain. I've known people like that, you know. I think we all know people like that. One of my best mates, when I first moved back to Ireland back in the early 90s, one of my best mates was an optician, and he was an optician in a previous life before we did what we were doing in Ireland. And when he was an optician, he had a bottle of vodka underneath his counter while he was working from the first go. As soon as he opened up his door in the morning, I'm presuming that he had a bottle of vodka with him when he got up in the morning as well. And he would sip this bottle of vodka all day long. Once the bottle of vodka was gone, then he'd stop working for the day. And he basically drank his business down the toilet. Like I said, I met him in Ireland, in the west of Ireland, and we bought a boat together for catching lobsters. So we used to take it out in County Clare, and it was a hair-raising job if there ever was one, right? It was one that I used to love and hate at the same time, especially if we were going out with a hangover. I drank like a fish at the time, so. But this guy, he had a good sense of humour. He spoke with a sort of a weird Cockney accent, sounded a bit like Dudley Moore, and he just made light of the situation. He knew it was something that he'd done himself. He still drank, but he didn't drink vodka. He didn't drink anywhere near as much, and he wasn't in charge of people's eyes. So he'd say stuff like, oh, I just lost my focus, or, yeah, I mean, I like going to the pub because it gives me a better perspective on life, you know. He'd say that his optician's business went down the drain because he just couldn't see it coming. Those kind of things, right? I think it's the right attitude to have. You know, you can't change the past. It is what it is. Now, I haven't seen this guy in years. I haven't heard from him in years. He was a nice bloke. He was a funny guy. But he was also hiding a lot of sadness. He was on his own. His mother used to come over and stay with him for 3 or 4 months at a time. And his mother was very similar, you know, drank a lot, that kind of stuff. Now, from my perspective, when I was drinking, the behaviour in his previous life just exemplified for me what an alcoholic was, right? And from coaching many people over the last decade, I know that this is a common picture that we've all got in our heads, right? It's a story that we've been spoon-fed, and it's something that we've swallowed without a second thought, right? And from a personal perspective, I think it's something that you use, you know, you're constantly judging whether you've crossed some imaginary line, right, in this habit.
Real quick, if you want to stop drinking, our new 30-day Habit Accelerator starts this coming Monday. It's for people who are either on day one, want to stop drinking for the first time, or those who just want to have a bit of a refresh. We'll be doing the video program together. We'll be doing 4 group video sessions every week. Unlimited access to me via WhatsApp one-on-one calls. It's an intensive thing, so I can only take on 15. There's only a few places left, so if you're interested in it, the link's in the description down below. Take care. Back to the video.
There are certain things in life that you step across the line when you start drinking first, right? That you can't go back from. You step across the line when you can drink more than a bottle of wine, for instance, or you step across the line when you start drinking. When I was drinking first, I used to drink lager with lime in it. I couldn't drink lager on its own. I hated the taste of it. I hated the taste of any alcohol. I still had youthful taste buds, so I wanted something sweet in there. So I stepped across the line when I stopped drinking lager with lime in it. You know, there's so many different lines that you step across, you know, from the acceptable, what is acceptable to you, to unacceptable, or what was unacceptable to you, right? What's acceptable drinking and what's not acceptable drinking, what's normal drinking or moderate drinking as compared with abnormal drinking or dangerous drinking. You know, these lines they're very vague, right? They're not clear-cut. Stopping drinking alcohol altogether, that's a clear-cut line, right? Once you step across it, you don't go back, right? And that's what made the big difference in my life, was It was a bright line. It was something I could see. It was something I stepped across, and that was it. There's a term in politics that is often used in politics. It's called the useful idiot. And for me, once I had this image of in my head of that is an alcoholic, right? That is the image of an alcoholic. They were the type of drinkers who really had the problem, like my mate, right? It doesn't matter who they are. For me, it was my mate, and it was people like him. It was people on Skid Row. It was people like that had lost jobs, lost families, lost this, lost that. It doesn't matter. It is that it is them that has the problem and not you. It's something that you can push out to them. Regardless of how much you're drinking, you push it out to them. So the term alcoholic becomes this useful idiot to you. It becomes this external and constantly changing benchmark, right, to justify your own behaviours. And you can do this in so many different other aspects of life as well. I'm not just talking about it in terms of an alcoholic, but from what we're talking about, it comes with that sense of, you're pushing out the boundaries. The alcoholic, or at least your idea of the alcoholic, becomes a personal scapegoat, something out there in the distance that you can measure yourself up against, right? And because it doesn't have that fixed definition, like I said, these lines are not solid. They're very vague. So what is an alcoholic? What is moderate drinking? What is responsible drinking? All those kind of things are deliberately vague. They become ideas that are malleable, right? That you can twist around to your own cause. It's something that you can define for yourself, and you can refine your image of the alcoholic over time. Every time you come close to what your definition of an alcoholic is, you can start to redefine it and move it outwards, right? You can start defining an alcoholic as someone who needs a drink in the morning, right? Let's say that's your initial. That's my initial thing. This guy needed a drink in the morning, was drinking all day long, lost his business because of it. That's my definition. Now, if you ever get there to that drinking in the morning, you can refine it again to saying, well, somebody who needs a few shots of alcohol in the morning, a few shots of vodka in the morning, whereas I only drink a can of beer in the morning, right, as something to soothe my nerves. And if you ever get to a few shots of vodka in the morning, you might redefine alcohol again as somebody who's lost a family or their job, and so on and so on and so on, right? Until you finally get to someone who's really, literally reached rock bottom, that they're living on Skid Row, and that's the alcoholic to you, right? You hear this all the time in terms like when somebody says that they are a functioning alcoholic. What does that mean? The functioning is in their heads, right? That functioning can be pushed out and out and out. So that light bulb moment came for me when I realized that I didn't have to be an alcoholic to stop drinking, right? I didn't have to get to whatever depth somebody else told me I had to get to. And that was it was a saving grace for me. I didn't need any label at all, especially didn't need to lump myself with a negative label. I've been reading up on self-help and psychology for years, since I was in my late teens, early 20s. And one thing is clear for me: if you want to get to the best version of yourself, if you want to achieve good things in life, if you want to feel good about yourself, if you want good mental health in your life, then you've got to empower yourself. And that means not sticking roadblocks in your own way, right? Roadblocks that don't need to be there. Now, unplugging from alcohol is not just about stopping the flow of this poison, it's about the choices that you make. Calling yourself an alcoholic is another choice. Now, I choose not to do that. It doesn't serve me moving forwards. It's all about owning up to our actions, not hiding behind any stupid words, any words at all, right? You choose the words that are going to empower you, that are going to improve your life, that are going to open up your potential rather than close it up. It's about walking this journey step by step towards that better life. All right. Now, first of all, if you want to take the first step, I encourage you to grab our beginner's guide. It's an introduction that gives you some fundamental ideas and concepts that we cover in the main program, and it just eases you into that, making that decision a lot quicker than you would have done, and being sure, giving you the confidence to know that it's the right decision for you to take. And for those who are committed long-term and want a more holistic approach, we've got our Habits V2 program. It's at habitsv2.com, so have a look at that. Look, you know, it's crucial to remember that the real journey isn't about labeling yourself or trying to fit yourself into somebody else's fucking definition. Their predefined categories in life or boundaries in life, right? It's about recognizing the power that you have within yourself to make these conscious choices, and then walking yourself towards, as I step by step, towards a healthier and a happier place in your life. Don't let yourself be sucked in by the way other people want to define you. You know, there's reasons why other people want you to think of yourself as an alcoholic, because it gives them an excuse. It's exactly the same kind of thinking that they're using on you. When somebody says, oh, you've got a problem with alcohol. I was talking to a woman yesterday, you know, and she was trying to explain what I was doing for a living. And she was saying that I had a problem with alcohol. I don't drink. She was sat there in front of me drinking a gin and tonic, and the other one was drinking a glass of wine, right? And this was at 11 o'clock in the morning. And she was saying that I had a problem with alcohol. You know, this is the funny thing about life, how people twist things around. Now, I didn't say anything, right, because she's a friend. But it's there, right? So often these things that people say and the labels that other people use, these are not in your best interests, right? Your personal journey is unique and it's full of potential. So always aim for progress, right? We're not aiming for perfection in this life, right? We're just aiming for progress, to open up potential. The more potential you open up for yourself, the more potential there is there, right? And remember, keep the alcohol out of your mouth. Onwards and upwards. Take care of yourself. Bye now.